So we go to the feast. We're walking around. We got like a couple little inside jokes going about the whole thing. But I stop at, there's a crystal. Someone selling crystals.
Oh, I love it.
So I stop. I start talking to the girl. Sweethearts of girls.
Right.
And I said, I need good energy. I said, my ex put a hex on me. I said, I need.
Oh my God, the X with the hex.
The X with the hex.
With the hex. Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
No.
So I was like, I had weird things happen. I had a little Lyme disease come in out of nowhere. I had like a little weird auras I was feeling. I was like, I need a crystal. I was like, I need something.
You need something to heal that hex.
That's what I was saying. So I said to the girl, I said, what is it? She gave me a, Larry, what'd she give me?
Black tourmaline?
No,
Did she give you
selenite tower?
clear quartz?
Yes, I think it was quartz. Clear
No,
quartz.
it was a selenite tower.
Oh, a selenite tower.
Selenite. Okay.
Yeah. She was like, put it in your window. It goes give energy, all the stuff. Put it in my palm, and she hit it with the little vibrating thing, and like it charged it. I felt it in my soul. It like vibrated my wrist.
Good.
I was like, whoa, here we go. So now I have it in my house. I have it in my little room. Hopefully,
perfect.
The hex is off me.
Well, selenite is a crystal that clears and charges other crystals.
Okay.
And it clears energy. So basically, when you're like, if you're at home and you have a lot of crystals, you don't have to cleanse them in the moonlight or cleanse them in the sunlight. You can put them all around selenite and it cleanses them and charges them. So selenite's a pretty cool crystal. I also, when I do Reiki, I give it to people to hold during the healing because it clears the aura. But for protection, like hexes and spell, I don't know how much I give in to hexes and spells. Not that they it's more about the intention that someone sends out to you. So, but when it comes to protection, the best crystals for any type of spiritual connection are black tourmaline, black obsidian, black black onyx.
I keep it with me everywhere.
You know, those are really good. Yep. Tiger's eye's a good protection stone.
Yeah.
So those are really specifically for protection.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, it just depends on how much energy, again, you give a hex. I do believe, though, that people can send you bad intention.
Totally.
And you could kind of stumble into that energy, and then you start getting shit's happening. You're like,
Weird.
what in the hell? What's going on?
I'm telling you, and I so my ex was into this type of shit, and she was like, I knew she fucking put a hex on me, right? So I have my black
Get the
this
Jesus
one,
cross.
That's what I got. I got Jesus tatted on my head.
This is what I'm talking
and
about.
I got the real deal. This shit's from Israel. Okay,
that's right. We're not messing around.
Not messing around.
We're going right to the man.
I keep it on my neck all the time. It's my little crystal that I keep with me all, and
nice.
I sage it. I put it in the moonlight to recharge it in full moons.
You know the deal.
I know the deal.
To do.
I keep my energy balanced.
Perfect.
I am one of those guys that I'm like, I believe in the energy. I believe in the aura. And I'm like, I got to put the good energy out there because it comes back.
It does.
It comes back
What
to
you put out comes back to you 100%.
That's what I believe. I truly believe in that.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're here. Matter of fact.
That is why we're here.
What's Pac'n, Joann?
Oh, so happy to be here.
Thank you for coming
Jack,
in.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. This is so fun.
Oh, trust me. I've been waiting. We've been scheduling this for a while back and forth.
Exciting.
And I was so exciting. The last time we spoke was about, I think I went to for a reading about a year ago, maybe more.
I want to say actually prior to pandemic, so probably
right
2.5-ish.
Yeah, right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so for those that don't know, please explain. What is your background? What is your expertise?
Sure. So my name's Joann Fiallo. I'm a psychic medium. Mm-hmm. I am also a Reiki master, so I do healings. I'm also a tarot card reader and an angel card reader. I do a couple of other things, a little astrology. I do Akashic record readings, which is kind of tapping into your soul. Ooh. Kind of tapping into prior to you incarnating here.
Yes.
You're opening up your book of life and choosing the lessons that you want to come into this life with. So I tap into your life records on when you came into this particular life and tell you what you came here for and what lessons you wanted to kind of occur here, what you wanted to go through and get through. Now, there's always clauses in our little records, so we don't always accomplish the lessons that we want to get. So, but it's super cool. It kind of just shows you things that you came here to kind of overcome.
Yeah.
Like really hard lessons that you chose to overcome.
Yes.
So a couple of different things. I think the most or the busiest I am was probably the readings and the Reiki. I do a lot of mediumship. I channel, which is something kind of years ago it started. I was always a tarot card reader, and then I started doing readings. I worked at a shop for many years, and I worked privately on my own, and I just started hearing. Then I was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, now I'm hearing spirit.
Yeah.
So I started to do automatic writing, and I write stuff down. So a lot of my readings are channeled energy from me hearing spirit.
Got you. Now, when it comes to mediums, okay, so psychic, what's the difference between future telling, seeing into the future, or channeling spirits, or understanding someone's past? I mean, is there a difference in this? Can you tell the future? I mean, listen, if you could tell the future, I think the lottery's up to a couple $100 million right now. Let's pump out 7 numbers. We won't tell anybody. I'll go play it. We'll split the things. I mean, how does that work?
So that's funny. I know, because people sometimes like, can you read my mind? I'm like, no, I'm not a mind reader. I'd be pretty fantastic if I could. So being psychic is kind of more about tapping into, like past information, present information, and future. Now, I want to say loosely future. Like, I can't, like, I'm not going to tell you, like, oh my God, here's your whole future laid out in front of you.
Yes.
Because you basically have free will, and your destiny can change at any time. I'm also, personally, I'm a big believer in... I'm a Jesus girl, and I'm also a big believer that God is the only one who knows anything 100%. So we'll give you our interpretation of what we're hearing and stuff we're getting. That's more psychic, okay?
Yeah.
So that's kind of tapping into the energy of picking up things about your past, picking up some people in your life and information in your job and your mother and, maybe your dog, and getting stuff in your life going on, a relationship to come. The future would be kind of, I'm kind of getting this impression in 5 years from now, this is where I see you moving. So that's psychic information.
Gotcha.
Mediumship is more connecting to spirit on the other side and kind of being able to validate that.
Okay.
So, like, when I'm in a reading and I'm reading, let's say I'm reading a woman, a client, and I'm like, well, I have your dad coming through. I have to give validating information on that. So I can't just be like, I have your dad coming through and he loves you. That's just
exactly.
Yes, obviously
totally.
your father loves you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't need me to tell you that.
So when these spirits or souls, what do you prefer to call them? Are they souls? Are they spirits?
So funny.
Are they?
It's a good question.
Another dimension?
I mean, well, yes. They're in the 4th and 5th dimension.
Yes.
We're on the 3rd dimension. So I think I call it I call it souls, but when I'm connecting to spirit, which would be guides or angels, I think I will refer to spirit or angels or guides.
Okay.
I think I call people have passed away souls. I guess souls is a good one. We'll go with souls.
So when these souls come through, and is it like, now, are you talking back to them like, listen, you got to give me some information so I can, convince this person across the table that I'm actually talking to you? Or are they just giving you information like, listen, tell this person, stop drinking coffee 5 times a day, quit the cigarettes, hit the bike pit. Like, is that what they're coming through, or can you go back and forth with them?
So, and that's a great question, because it's different for everybody's people. So a lot of times when I'm about to sit down, so before I read anybody, I pray. That's I open myself up every morning with prayer. It's very important to me. And then I start channeling and writing stuff down before I even meet with the person. So I'm already getting stuff, right? And then I start my readings that way. So sometimes if there's more than one spirit, which happens a lot, they all start talking once. I'm like, okay, guys. So I'm telepathically connected. So they're talking to me telepathically. That's how I'm communicating. So sometimes it's like they're downloading and you're like, oh my God, they're giving me all this information. But there's other times, like you said to me, where I might say something to a client and they're like, I don't know. And then I'm like, hello, you better give me something more than that, because she don't know. So then they'll say something else and like, oh my God, and then it makes sense. So it's different. Every reading is so different. And it's amazing to me because every reading is so different that a lot of people come and they specifically want their mother or their father or their, their child. Yeah. And I try to tell people, I open up the energy. I can't guarantee specific connection to a specific person. Yeah. But I hope to God that who you want to come come through comes through, which thank God usually happens. But you also may get, Aunt Franny 3 times removed that you had no connection to,
Yes.
but it's still family, and they want to like let you know that, like, hi, just a quick drive-by. They're drive-bys too.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah,
hey.
hi,
They
hey.
want to do that.
Yeah.
So every reading is so different. And I think the most fascinating, unbelievable thing about it is that Spirit knows when you're going for a reading. Like,
Yes.
they know what's going on up there. So I might sit down with someone, and this happens all the time, and do a reading. Let's just say I'm sitting across from a young girl client, and I'm like, I'll just rant. I'm like, who's Megan? And she's like, oh, she's a friend of mine. I'm like, okay, because there's a D connected to her that passed away. So they know. They see an opening,
And they come through.
Yeah. So I believe that I'm giving messages, but you guys are meant to give messages too.
So
And I love that.
I've in my experience in life, I've been read multiple times, and I've had different experiences from a young age. The first reading I had, one of my mother's friends was a psychic medium.
Yeah.
And I was about 10 years old, and she gave me a reading. My mother was there in my house, very casual. I'm running around as a little kid, and she grabs me and she goes, "You come here." And I was like, all right. She didn't grab my older brother. She didn't grab my younger brother. She grabbed me.
She honed in on you.
Yeah. She goes, "You come here." She goes, "I need to do this." So she pulled some cards, told me the information I needed to know at the time. And at the time, as a kid, you're not thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? And as I got older, I realized that the information that she gave me was little bits and pieces of insight on this journey of life that I needed.
Yeah.
And the dots started to connect as I
love that.
matured into a man. Thank you. One of those things that I find when I speak to people about spirituality and moving forward in life is a lot of people look for spirituality for closure. And everyone looks to seek closure when they need it. But I believe that you can get closure from readings and spiritual stuff. But
Absolutely.
I think it's a tool to give you a little insight in the road ahead of you. So there's an analogy that I like to use. Now, you can drive from LA to New York in the pitch black dark. Your headlights on a car illuminate about 100 to 200 feet ahead of you. Now, you can't see 50 miles ahead of you. You don't know that you're going to make it to New York. You don't know when you're going to make it there. But all you need is just a little insight, a little 100 to 200 feet ahead of you on this road, and it keeps your incentive. You got to keep the faith, and you keep going, and eventually you'll get to your destination. And I believe that this spirituality, the third dimension, a little insight, that's all we need to keep us on the path to our right destination.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good analogy too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that.
I
That's
appreciate
a good
that.
analogy.
Yeah.
You're so cute, Jack.
Oh, I know,
So
right?
cute.
I'm adorable.
You
I'm
are.
adorable. I'm so sweet. I'll make your teeth hurt.
You're just a good one. You're a good egg.
Thank-
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I think so. For me, I
Do you
feel
find that a lot, that you're trying to be a closure for grief-stricken situations?
A lot of what I do, because it's mediumship,
Yeah.
is sadly, I read a lot of people who lose lose children. So yes, for them, it's closure, but it's also, a lot of my clients that lose a child will come back to me every couple of months because they feel like I'm a way to connect.
Yes.
Even
you
though
become the in-between.
Yes, even though I believe everybody has the ability to connect. Like I don't know if every medium feels that way, but I personally do. Nobody's born more special than anyone else. We all have the ability to, listen, the bottom line is we're a soul. First and foremost, inside this human body, but we're not human. We're really a light being.
Yes.
So we come here because we choose to come down here to be human, to feel all the things as a human feels, but that's not our true nature, right? Because when we die, this shell falls away. So our true nature is a light being. So we're all the same that way.
Yes.
We all are born intuitive and open. It's coming into this world. The physical realm is like, that's not real. You can't believe that. So we're little, like, all right, wait, that's not real. I can't believe, we're taught all these things like don't believe that, and ghosts don't exist, and you didn't see that. So we grow up and we close down. So, but we're all born open. Everybody is born open.
I was just going to ask you, right, when it comes to clients and stuff like that, because children, especially like when I was a child, or even pets and stuff like that, I feel like you're more susceptible because you believe. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things you're open to it. Your channels are open.
Absolutely.
Life hasn't shut down your entrails. You know what I'm saying? So Do you get more of a younger crowd, or is it more of an older audience that comes to you, your clientele?
It's funny. I'm 54, and I think I started really doing this out in the public eye at about 41.
Okay.
I read cards when I was a young girl. My mother was big into this and got me into it. So my mother was really cool, went to Readers Law, took
wow.
me. So I got to experience it at a young age. So I give my mother the credit for that. So I started doing readings after a divorce. I got back into it after a divorce just because I needed to heal. And then in my early 40s, I really got kind of into it. So my clients have always, ironically, I have from 15 to 80. And I always had a lot of young people. And it's funny because it was until years later, I couldn't have children in this life. And it was a hard thing for me.
Yes.
But after I started doing this work and years went by, it's funny, it stopped me one day. And I felt like I heard God say, now you know why, because I gave you children in another way. And it just really was like, oh my God. So yes, a lot of my clientele is very young.
Yeah.
I'm like their mama. I'm their spiritual. They call me. They're like, you're my witchy mama. You're my psychic mama. You're my spiritual mama. You're my, funny.
There was a woman. I had a meeting with a woman, and she explained it to me. What you're saying. She says, everyone is a shepherd and everyone is a sheep. Yeah. You have a flock you follow and a flock you keep, and it's up to you, your responsibility of watching and maintaining the priorities and the morality that you have. And that's the herd, that's the flock that you will keep, depending on who you are as a person.
Exactly.
And I think, generally speaking, it states to people out here in the world, some people wind up in the wrong crowd.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Some people wind up in certain crowds, spiritual crowds and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough as well, as my mother brought me around spiritual people from a young age, and I truly believe in dimensions. And my biggest takeaway, right, from being exposed to spirituality at a young age, is it truly is a blessing if you allow it to be. A lot of people, you know what the thing is? You must give tough news every day.
Yeah,
I mean it's not always.
I'm careful about, as a reader, every reader is different, but I know for me, I have rules. I don't see death coming, and I don't ever tell, even if I'm in a reading and I sense something about someone's parent, right? And they're like, my dad's sick. And I'm like, God is the only one who knows when someone's going to leave this earth. I don't get that information. I don't want that information, because I think it's dangerous to put, because if let's say I just tell you, I think your dad's going to go in 3 months. For 3 months, you're going to be sick inside.
Yep.
And it's not for me to say that. That's only for God to say. Yep. So I'm very careful about the information that I give. I think the worst stuff, I try to read people for their highest good. So even if it's heavy, I want to get you past the heavy to show you that there's the light.
There's the light. Yeah.
Because really any of us that do this work, any psychics, mediums, healers, all we're doing is being the lamp. We're just holding the lamp for other people. You have the light within you.
Motel 6, you leave the light on, man. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
We just are sharing our light so you can find your own light. And that's what it's about. We're all meant to share our light.
Totally.
Totally. So I'm careful about the things that I say. A lot of times, it is hard to be in a reading and read someone and they're like, I don't know if this is the right relationship. And they're literally like, red flag, he's a cheater, no good. And I have to say it to them in a way that, and I feel bad. I'm like, I don't want to tell you this because I don't want to break your heart. Yeah. But I also say to people, I have to read you for your heart. I have to look out for you. You're my client.
Yeah. Now, do you find yourself, I'm going to ask you, what's your definition of fate and destiny?
That's a good one.
What's the difference here between fate and destiny? Because the information that you can convey to people can really alter someone's destiny and their fate, their journey to where they're going.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
You like this, right?
That's a good one.
I'm telling you, I'm on the ball. Jackie. I'm on the ball, Joey.
He's on the ball.
Listen, this ain't my first rodeo. It's my second. But don't tell Larry that. Don't tell Larry.
Funny. Fate and destiny. So because I believe that, I believe our destinies, because we have free will.
Very much so.
I think we can change and alter. In other words, let's say I came down here and I chose this, and this, these particular lessons. I can alter that by my free will.
Yep.
hopefully I stick to the plan, but I can alter it and choices. And like, think about it every day. Our choices individually lead us to different places, right? We have choice.
Life is a
We have free
series of
will.
tests.
Exactly.
That's all it is. And not every test you're meant to pass. A lot of tests you're meant to fail, but you got to fail forward.
But that's an interesting thing, because there is, and Spirit has said to me, there's no such thing as failure. Every road we go down, there's a lesson in that road. So it's not a failure. We're meant to go down it for the lesson. So fate and destiny, I don't think, to be honest, that anybody who does any of this work is in control of anybody's fate or destiny. So I think you're in control of your own by choices that you make. I think you're more in control of your own fate and destiny. I tell my clients, and again, every reader's different. I get impressions or I get visions, and I'm a very authentic, straight up. I'm like, listen, I'm not God. So the bottom line is, this is what I'm seeing for you, but you have free will and you can change your course at any point. Gotcha. And I think that's really important as a reader and a healer to make people understand, we're not here like gurus. I don't like that. I'm not an effing guru who's going to like come to, you know what I mean? I'm not John of God and come to me. Yep. I don't like that, because to me, that doesn't feel authentic.
And you know what the thing is, when we're in a world now where this is profitable. People make a living on this.
Yeah,
and I think that there's a lot of people out there that take advantage of generalities and they manipulate. Listen, it's human nature.
They're charlatans. There's a lot of charlatans.
And they manipulate, and they go around and they tell people what they want to hear just to keep stringing them along and get them in this quagmire of, like you said, I mean, when people come to you, they're in a tough state. Yeah. In a tough state.
And not all of them are. Some just like, they're like, you're better than therapy, so I'm coming to you because you're better. It's funny how people come for different reasons. So
when you're channeling a spirit and stuff like that, is there situations where you're like, okay, you need this one up here needs to calm down, and I need to put my insight into this because this person needs to hear X, Y, and Z, because I, as a person with life experiences and a hell of a long life. I mean, you lived an incredible life to this point. I mean, you've had your experiences where you went down your own roads and you've learned your own lessons. Have you ever intervened and been like, listen, I know what they're telling you, but you gotta straighten your act up. You gotta, get off this. Don't make this bad turn here, because it's gonna alter things.
I mean, so that's a good question, Jack. You're good at this.
I'm telling you. I thank you, my love.
So I try not to filter spirit when I'm doing a reading.
Okay.
I try to be as authentic as I can in a reading. And it's funny because I've had clients say to me, well, that's why I love you, because you just tell me what spirit's saying.
Joann, I love you for it. I mean, the reading that you gave me was so on the point, dead at you, and you were no nonsense, no bullshit. You were like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, my spirits that came through, they weren't happy. And you were like, they're not happy. They're like, you got a lot of shit you got to fucking get together here. And I was like, okay. And I did.
And I try not to, and I really do it with love, because I try not to sugarcoat what guides or what they're saying. But, I mean, and people have asked me this too. They're like, well, I'm struggling. Where's my dad? Why is he not helping me? And I'm like, because they're not allowed to always intervene. There's a core kind of energy on the other side that's our spirit guides. We all have our own angels, our own guides, and of course our people who've passed. Yep. And if they can intervene and help us, of course they will. But I don't think that that's allowed at all times, because there's certain lessons we have to go through that our mother on the other side, they can't step in. They can't. They just can't. They're not allowed to, or else we won't get the lesson. So I try to tell people, I try to be as authentic as I can, delivering the message from spirit. Yeah. I don't think I've ever had to say to spirit, like, okay, you need to calm down. You need to deliver this. Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, I don't feel like I've ever had that. I mean, I think the funniest thing is that how they were in life is how they are in death. Like when they're funny, I'm like, your father was a riot. And I'll say, wow, he's a pisser. Yeah. Or your mother's this, or not really. I think for the most part, the message is so as a reader, for me, we try not to get in our own head. That can. Am I allowed to curse?
Oh yeah. Fuck it.
Am I allowed to curse?
Fuck it.
Because I feel like I don't want to get in the way. You know what I mean? Like I can.
You don't want to dilute the message.
Yeah, I don't want to dilute. Exactly. I don't want to dilute the message and fuck it up with my own interpretation.
Gotcha.
So I try to be careful about. you know, and it's funny because I'll say to a client, I'm like, this is literally what your father's saying to me. So because I'm trying to give it exactly how I'm hearing it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, do I sometimes maybe filter it a tiny bit? You know, maybe so they can understand it a little clearer. But I really try to be as authentic as I can about the message because I don't want to take the message again and make it my interpretation because that could affect how they're receiving it.
Yeah, totally.
So
have you
be
ever
careful.
have you ever been casually around? I mean, listen, we're people. We have lives outside of, you know, spirituality and stuff like that. You ever been, you know, driving down the expressway or, you know, having a glass of wine somewhere and a spirit comes out of nowhere and you're like, listen, I can't do this right now. I got, you know, I'm in you know, I'm at someone's graduation. I can't get the essay. Yeah, I'm busy.
Yes.
Is it something that you can turn on and off or is it always there?
No, I think it's always there in some way.
Okay.
But yeah, I was on the line. I was online in the bank one day.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, and I'm just online. A couple of people behind me, a couple of people in front of me, Chase Bank, and I hear in my ear psst, that I literally psst, that's my daughter behind you, and I'm thinking, oh, for Christ's sake,
here we
I'm
go.
online at the fucking bank. So I'm like, okay. So she's like, please tell her that I'm around her. And I'm like, oh. Now there's a lot of people. So, you know, and also that's like very like the Long Island Medium did that in her show.
Yeah.
You got to be careful because some people are not open. They don't want, you know what I mean?
And here but also
I'm like,
you are here in the present and you may look like a crazy person. I line at the bank
like the crackpot.
going, hey, you 3 people behind me. Your mother says hello. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Your dead mother, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm channeling your dead mother.
Yeah.
So I don't say anything. And she's like, please, you need to tell her I'm around her. Wow. And then she's like, and that her son's going to be okay. And that was like, I got to say something because she's telling me that this grandmother's telling me that her son's going to be okay, that her grandchild's going to be okay. So I literally turn around and I go, hi, I just want to let you know your mother's okay in heaven. She wanted me to tell you and that your son's going to be okay.
Oh, wow.
So she was with her husband. And she looked at me and she's like, she just grabbed my arm. She's like, I go, clearly I'm a medium because she's not a crackpot.
Yeah.
And she was like, I am so grateful. And she started crying. Like, I miss my mother so much. I'm so grateful. And my son has an illness and he's been struggling with an illness. Man. And that means the world to me because her mother was like, and let her know that he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've had a couple of crazy,
situations where the other dimension interferes with this social dimension.
It's not all the time, but I have been. Yeah, well, I was on a motor vehicle one day.
Oh wow!
I was in a bank another day, and it was a woman I didn't even know. A woman lost her child.
Oh man!
And she worked in the bank, but she was in like in her office, and I'm at the teller, and I'm just literally getting my money, and I'm just feeling, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I go, did someone lose a child here? And she was like, someone, you know, I go, oh my God. I go, I'm feeling his energy and he's okay. And I feel like he was young.
Yeah.
So she's like, you could go peek her head in. I think the woman was in shock. I peeked her head. I just said who I was. And I said, I just needed to, I feel like I was getting a young boy passed away.
Yeah.
I gave her the quick message and I think I don't think she knew. She just was stunned.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, thank you, but stunned. So yeah, it's just crazy.
You know, it's funny that, well, not fun, but that you bring that up. There's a woman that I'm friends with, and she's a Buddhist, and she's an older woman. She's about 70s, almost 80, about 76, 77 years old. Nicest woman. Her name is actually Joni. Very close.
Oh.
And so she, her theory about loss, about life loss, I thought was something that I hold dear, and I believe it from the, you know, advice is what you get from people you look up to, opinions are what you get from people that are on the same level, hate is what you get from people that are below you.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
And you take what resonates
and
with
you take what resonates. And this woman gave me a bit of advice that resonated with me, and she said about loss in young lives, the loss of young lives. It's a tragedy. It always is a tragedy.
Of course.
But people are born for things in life. There's some people that are born to be, a doctor. Some people are born to be teachers. Some people are born to be healers. Mm-hmm. Some people are born to be guardians and protectors and angels. And that's just, they serve a bigger purpose in the next life than they would here. And they're taken, unfortunately, at a young age. They say the good die young. And I truly believe that because the better they are, the younger you pass away. And they're such good souls that their soul was so bright and so important that it had to go to the other side because it had a specific job. It had a specific calling that soul had to have. And unfortunately, this is life. No one lives forever. That's the truth of it. No one lives forever. No one made it off this rock alive. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, Elon Musk has given it a shot, but
He's trying.
He's trying. But listen, we're all born, we all die. That's the way it goes. That's life. That's that's it. And that's my feeling on the loss of young life, because I've experienced this in my life, young tragedy.
Yeah.
That's what gives me comfort, is knowing that they're not unhappy, they're not in pain, but it's a higher calling. They had a higher purpose to serve. And unfortunately, we have to value the moments that we have with them, because that's all you have in life. It's just moments in time,
Right, that we remember.
Exactly.
We have a lot of past lives too, and future ones to come, but
That's my next question for you. Reincarnation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So now your stance on reincarnation, I've
Believer.
heard... I believe it too.
Yeah.
I think I'm on my fourth cycle. I think I'm on my fourth cycle for some reason.
You've probably been here a lot more than 4 times.
Yeah, you think?
I think so. I think we get quite a few. Maybe not. There's some souls that are maybe newbies, or however you want to say it. I think we choose. We choose to how many times we want to incarnate. I mean, this again, I can't validate past lives are real, but this is my personal belief.
This is theory. That's what's the greatest thing about the country we live in, the people that we are, is we're allowed to express these theories on life.
So I'm going to tell you something, and then all the people that are listening to this, I want them to go out and get this book, because it'll change your life. When I was, I don't know, I think my mother gave me the book. I was 16, maybe 17. Yeah. It was called Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. Okay. So I was always spiritual.
I have to read that.
You need to get this book.
Yes, yeah.
So my mother read it and gave it to me, and I literally... first of all, I always believed in everything, but after this, I was like, oh my God. So it was basically a psychiatrist, a regular MD, didn't believe in any bullshit, nothing.
Yep. Scientific guy. Yep. Question,
no
answer.
Spirituality.
No, yep.
So he had a young girl come to him who was riddled with anxiety and phobias. Like she literally couldn't function anymore. Yeah. So he started to he was also, he did hypnosis.
Hypnosis, yep.
But for like addictions, for that kind of stuff with his clients. So he started to do hypnosis with her, never expecting what was going to come out. Well, it wound up, past lives were coming out.
Oh, wow.
So he started to then, because he was recording it, he started to see like, okay, there's some other shit going on here. I don't know what's happening here, because I'm a scientific guy and now I'm into a whole nother realm.
Yeah.
So he continued with her, and he recorded he's working with her, but recording where these phobias actually came from.
Yes.
And it's funny, because he would go home and still be like, this can't be real. He still would question, even though he's in it and listening to this.
He's in the heart of his research, and he still can't come up with an answer to it.
Can't come up with an answer until one of her lives, and I don't want to give it away, but one of her lives, there was something very specific connected to him in one of the lives, that there's no way possible it could have been connected if he wasn't actually... If she wasn't going into past lives. Wow. So this particular thing made him be like, holy shit, like I can't even justify this on any type of logical thinking.
Yes.
So he worked with her through 86 different lives.
86 different lives?
86 different lives by the end of the book. I think it was about 86. And thank God he healed her of a lot of phobias and a lot of stuff, because she couldn't work. She got to the point where she couldn't leave her house.
Yeah.
But it really, and her lives were in depth. The book was amazing. So anyway, for me, it just really makes you like, you're like, oh, wow. It makes you really see like, a lot of times we come into this life, even Spirit has told me, a lot of times our phobias and our fears, we carry them over from past lives, and we didn't heal it.
I believe that. I truly believe that. I think that that certain situations, certain traumas are they're scars. They're emotional scars more than physical. The physical pain is temporary. Whatever you're going through at that moment, it's gonna pass. It's only, let's say you're going through an altercation, whatever the altercation, that's only a half hour. Let's say it's 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Your body is gonna heal in 7 days from the altercation, but your soul is tainted forever. And that's why I believe in a greater thing, a bigger energy, because there's just things in life that are unexplainable. Even quantum physicists, scientists that are the highest level thinkers, they explain that the universe, they can't explain the universe. Even quantum physicists, their biggest thing is there's energy out there. Not everything gets down to, nothing equals zero. There's
Right.
unexplainable things that happen in the world that quantum physicists themselves have no explanation for. And
Because everything's energy.
everything is energy.
Everything's energy.
Everything is
and
energy.
energy can't be destroyed.
No.
So energy is it's a living entity, and it can't be destroyed, or it can't be changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it makes sense. If we die, we're energetic beings. We don't die. We just energetically move to the next cycle of spirit.
Yeah.
Of a higher elevation.
It's one of these things that in modern day times, if you don't believe it, I believe in history. Okay, I'm a historian, a little bit of a historian. The Mayans, the Egyptians, the Aztecs, even all the way up to the pagans and everybody else. There's every human, how do I say this? Every generation of human species believes in a higher power.
Yeah,
It's
they
not
all
gonna-
have their
it-
own.
they all have their own
belief
belief.
system, or
But
yeah,
the one
absolutely.
constant is that there is something out there bigger than us. That's the constant theory. And I believe in it. And I think the next generation is going to find more about it out, that's
yeah.
what it is. We're constantly building on
Deep
beliefs,
diving.
deep diving. And that's the beautiful thing about this free will that we have. We have the ability to believe whatever we want. We have the ability to
Exactly.
do whatever we want. Now, it can sidetrack us from the path we're supposed to be on, or it can propel us to greater depths. And that's why I believe people are born for certain things. Some people are born to be healers. Some people are born to be teachers. Some people are born to be quantum physicists that question the universe.
Yeah.
But we're all connected. Everybody's connected.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I
Yeah.
think and I personally think. I think we're all healers, because I think we're all healing in our own way. You know what I mean? If you
that
heal
was-
one friend, even just think about that growing up. You had a really good friend, and just you've helped them out in a situation. You're healing that person. So to me, we're all really here to heal. And again, I personally, because I'm a Jesus girl, I always felt like and this is just a past life thing for me. I feel like I know the past lives I had. I always felt like I lived when Jesus lived. I always felt very connected
Yes.
to him, and in a way. And it's funny because when I say that, I don't even mean it like an arrogant way, like, oh, I think I lived when Jesus lived. I feel like I lived when he lived because of the connection that
It's
I
something in
feel
your
for.
soul,
Yes,
yeah.
there's something very familiar, like on this plane to him, that I feel like that was a life for me. And
Yeah.
it was the life I feel that I was very drawn to him in that life too, and why I have the connection I have. So I think that, there's certain belief systems that everybody's different in their own belief, and there's certain things we can validate and can't validate.
Yeah. There's things in my life that draw me to the Romans. I believe that I lived in the Colosseum at some point. I think.
Because you did.
Yeah, it's
did.
just one of those things that even when I
It's
was
a
a
knowing.
child, it's a knowing.
knowing.
It's just something in my heart, and I
knowing.
know it. It's like I've never been to Rome. I've never been to Florence, but in my mind, in my dreams, in these they feel like flashbacks.
Yeah, visions.
And I know that, I know the hill. I don't know what it is, but the visions that I've had, I know the hill in Florence when I'm standing on it, and I can see West Florence, I can see East Florence, and I can see the ruins, and I'm standing there on the hill. And I know at some point in my life, I'm going to be standing there, and that is going to be a vision that comes to fruition. And I feel it in my heart. Since I've been a child, I felt that. And
Interesting.
it's one of those things that I just know.
It's a knowing.
It's a knowing. It's a knowing.
And that's part of us being intuitive beings, all of us. Part of the senses of a medium are like clairsentience, clairaudience, clairknowing. So there's a couple of different ones. So it's like the knowing. So we, as a medium, you get like the visions, right? I hear, I see, hear.
Yeah.
I feel and know, and sometimes taste and smell, because those are ones too. So knowing, we all have that knowing, because the knowing is in our soul. Our soul is the knowing and our higher self. So you saying like, I know I'm connected, because you are connected to it. Because
100%
our cells,
in my heart. I know.
and our cells in our body have cellular memory.
Yeah.
So there's a knowing to that. That's why we get deja vu. Deja vu is that
It's a
that,
real thing.
Yeah, it's a real
yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
you feeling like you lived in the Roman Empire, it's because you did. You're connected to that
Oh,
particular, right? Because like I'm not connected to certain times in history, but there's certain times like Egyptian, I'm totally connected to.
See, I'm not connected to the Egyptians. I respect the Egyptians. I have a lot of respect for them. I respect the Mayans and everything like that. But out of all of the history, out of all the things, for me personally, the draw is the Romans. And it's one of those things that I've had the dreams, I've had the flashbacks, I felt the deja vu things.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy to me.
And that is
crazy to me.
That's the familiar life because you've lived it. You know, I used to, as a kid, constant dreams, not so much now, but of castles, constantly, constant. And I always felt very connected. And I was like, well, I definitely lived in castles. Yeah. But I have a lot of, I also know 100% I was a witch. 100% was a witch.
Okay, that's the next question I have.
Definitely was very strong lifetimes for me.
So being a witch, and now when you're talking about a spiritual realm, not all spirits are good spirits. Have you seen some negative things come across? I mean, there's demons out there. People have them. People carry them with them.
And it's funny because even other readers, and we've had these deep dive conversations about spirituality. So me personally, yes, like even as a young girl, now I realize why I couldn't watch The Exorcist or any of those movies. Like devil shit scares me. Like honestly, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah. I'm not a big Friday the 13th and Jason and shit, but I'll take that over the exorcism.
Or
those other scary ones where the bodies are the devil's talking and shit.
Heads are spinning.
I'm not about it.
Yeah.
But yes, when I was and it's funny, I just had this conversation with my older brother like I guess a year ago when I was about 6.
Okay.
We grew up in the Bronx, so we still lived in the Bronx at that time. My older brother and I he had an apartment in the Bronx, so 2-bedroom, my mother and father in one. My older brother and I were in 1-bedroom bunk beds. He was on the top, I was on the bottom. And I think it was like Christmas Eve or some little holiday where, so they put us to bed and all like my mother, the aunts and uncles were like partying out in the living room.
Oh, yeah.
So they put us to bed and I don't know, I wake up and I see something in the corner of the room. All I can see is that, again, I'm little, but it looked gigantic to the ceiling, and I could see these eyes that I could still to this day were so like scary. Yeah. So I got scared. So I got out of I climbed out of the bottom bunk to climb up to the top to wake my brother up because now I'm scared. And it was like he was frozen. It was like he wouldn't wake up. So I'm shaking and shaking, and he's not waking up. So I'm like, and I knew he wasn't dead. I knew that intuitively. He just was like, I don't even know how to explain, in a coma. I was like, he wouldn't wake up. So I go back down and I throw the covers over my head and I start praying. Mm-hmm. And then like all of a sudden I take the covers down. I don't even know why. And like a presence of God came over me, like you need to walk over to it and not be in fear. Yep. And I remember I walked over to it and I was looking up at it because again, I'm little and it was high, like the big, ceiling. Yeah. And big and like just the eyes. And I remember looking up and I remember feeling it got mad that I walked over to it. Like, how dare you come over to me? It got mad. And all of a sudden I heard a loud clap and my aunt came in the room, my mother's sister, my Aunt Malin, and she's like, "Oh, you're sleepwalking." I was like, "Listen, lady. I wasn't sleepwalking. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm awake, and I wasn't sleepwalking."
Break out the Ouija board. This party's turning up a notch around here.
This is some real shit. Yeah. So, and it's funny because as I grew up, I always thought, oh my God, I used to think, I'm like, why did the devil want to come for me? Or why did the demon, like, I used to think it came in my soul. Yeah. And for a long time when I was little, honestly, I was like, am I bad? Like, I don't know. Why would that happen? Yeah. And it was only until I started getting into this work, a healer actually said to me, because they knew at a young age that you were going to do the work of the light and they were trying to already stop you. And I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. Other different kind of. I luckily though, as I'm older too, I've had actually amazing experiences, but a couple of dark things. When I was going through a divorce, I remember it was bad. And one day I was in my house, my husband had left. And at the time, he was cheating, left. It just was a disaster.
It was a mess. Yep.
But I'm sitting in the living room one day and I knew it was like the voice of like the devil. Yeah. He was like, I'm going to take everything from you. Yeah. I'm going to take until you. And I remember thinking, because I knew it wasn't my own thoughts. And I was like, oh, hell no. Yeah. Hell no. Yeah. I may be on the ground and want to die right now, but no. Yeah, but I knew that it was a dark it was a dark voice that wanted me to be like, I'm taking everything from you. So yeah, I've had more good than bad,
More
but
good than
good and
bad?
bad. Yeah,
Do you-
absolutely.
now, I've had a very similar experience to what you explained when you were 6 years old. I was so this happened to me. I wasn't a child. I was about 18, 19 years old. I was
You're older.
I was older, and it wasn't a devil. It was a good spirit. It was my grandmother. And what happened was I was in Montauk. I was in our vacation home in Montauk, and this was her home she built in the
Right.
day. And I was sleeping on the couch. It was late at night. I was sleeping. I had a friend that was sleeping on the couch across from me, and it was like 3 a.m, passed out,
Right.
TV going. And I woke up out of a dead sleep, and I woke up and I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't move a finger, and I kept trying to speak, and I couldn't speak. And she was above me, 7 inches, 8 inches from my face, right there, floating, and didn't speak, was just staring at me. And at the time she passed away, it was very hard on me, and we were very close. And I wasn't living life the way she would approve at that time.
She's like, I got my eye on you, buddy.
And
I'm watching you.
Yeah, and she was staring at me. And all she said, like, I was laying there and I couldn't speak. And my vocal cords were paralyzed. My hands were paralyzed. And I'm laying there and I was like, I just couldn't. I was so overwhelmed.
Yeah, of
It
course.
was petrified. I was in a petrified state.
Right.
And she looked at me, and before she just stared at me for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And at the end, she says, I'm watching everything. And boom, she disappeared. My friend's shaking me, waking me up. And he said, dude, are you all right? Are you all right? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, your eyes roll back in your head, bro. You're over here shaking on the couch. I was like, dude, later on in my life, recently, before the pandemic, it was I think it was like a seizure state. I was going through a lot too. Spiritually, emotionally, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had a seizure, and
wow.
I went down, had to go to the hospital, had a whole thing, and I never had any history of seizure, epilepsy, nothing like that.
Right.
When I had that seizure, it took me that seizure from that seizure. I changed some things due to the seizure. I, socially, some lifestyle changes based on that
course.
seizure. I changed it. And I think it was meant to happen. I think the same state that I was in on that couch when my grandmother was over me, I think it was a recurring thing where she intervened and said, you're not supposed to be here. You got to get out of this situation. And really came out and intervened. And I'm so grateful. I am so lucky in my life that I have such strong angels on the other side.
Of course.
And I've had a life that is full. I'm a young man. I am 26 years old. But in my life.
My God, a baby.
A baby. I have a
baby.
whole life ahead of me. In my first chapter, this book of life I'm writing, I can tell you one thing. I haven't had tragedy. I've had lessons. And I've gained so much respect for the angels that are on the other side that aren't with me here.
Right.
Because I feel I'm living life for the short life that they've lived.
Mm-hmm.
They left so much on the table, and they are so upset about how much they left on the table that they are giving me the energy and the strength and the signs that I need to carry on for them. I truly believe that. That's one of my things that keeps me going and motivates me to be a better person. And I think we all need something to motivate us, something to
especially
grip
now.
to.
I mean, we're living in such, and I love that you're like, again, because I have so many of my clients are young. I love that you're young and you're awake enough spiritually. You're spiritually awake enough to, recognize that your grandmother was literally over you because she was like, I'm watching you.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to make some changes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I love you and I'm here, but I'm watching you.
And that's
you
the thing.
You knew that.
I didn't feel the fear in my heart when I should have felt in any situation. You can't move. You're in a paralyzed state. You should be afraid. I was not afraid. I was so
that's
calm.
like you were in like a sleep paralysis, which is rare because usually sleep paralysis is usually more of a negative energy. Usually get that frozen feeling when it's more of a negative, but you probably were in such a state of a sleep that because it was such a thing that came over you, it must have just all happened so quickly for you because it usually isn't
maybe a minute.
Yeah.
Not like I said, about 45 seconds in, she spoke and she said, I'm watching everything. And that was it. Then she disappeared.
And they
I woke
are,
up.
believe me.
Oh,
they are watching everything.
And
People are
that's-
like, can they see me in the shower? I'm like, no. can they see me having sex? I'm like, ew, no, there's a veil.
Yeah.
But they are watching.
Yeah.
Just certain things they can't. But
That's
they are.
one of the things that I've learned when it comes, especially when it comes to prayer. Prayer, I think, is so important in life because
absolutely. I'm a big prayer girl.
me too. I am.
Big.
I pray pretty much every day. Every day, a little prayer, a little something, just to keep. It's for your own mind, peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's good for your soul.
And sometimes,
your
like
soul.
I say all the time, like the best conversations I have are with my angels. And in truth, in my prayer, it's one of those things that I feel them guiding me. I got into meditation a while ago, and it's hard right now. I've strayed a little bit. I meditate maybe once every 2 weeks. At one point, I was meditating every day. I worked my way up to 15 minutes, which was incredible for me.
It's not easy.
The first 5 minutes is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Your head's everywhere. Your head's everywhere.
Yeah,
and as soon as you get 5 minutes down, the jump from 5 to 8 is pretty good. It's pretty easy to go from 5 to 8 for me personally. But then from 8 to 15, that's where you really start getting some deep stuff. That's where it's like you're sitting, you're in a state, you're completely committed to that state of stillness.
Yeah.
And it is difficult. So I worked my way up to about 15 minutes.
You.
Thank you so much. It was hard. That's an accomplishment that not a lot of people will recognize as an accomplishment.
No, it really is, because I think it's hard as human beings. It's hard for us to hold the space. That's why manifesting is hard for people, because it's hard for us to hold the space, because you're like in it and you're like, oh shit, I gotta pay that bill.
So my
I gotta go.
My next question was the law of attraction. How do you feel about the law of attraction equating into spirituality? Because manifestation and the law of positive thoughts, positive energy, positive results.
I believe in that. I believe that if you, and again, just from being in this, reading books and being, working at a place for many years and being around all kinds of people and reading all of the Hicks books about law of attraction and all the different stuff, I guess it really just it makes sense, right? Because the human body, again, because we're a soul, but the body responds to what we say. So if you constantly are being negative in your own being, like, whatever it is,
you will attract that negative energy.
And your cells respond to that. That's why people can heal themselves who are sick. They're like, they're in their head, like, you know what? I'm going to heal this cancer. I'm healing. And they do, because the body's like, I'm healing this cancer. It's responding. So I think that law of attraction is, I think the universe gives you back what you're telling it.
Yeah.
Does it always work? I would like to say yes, I think. But again, we're human. That's why, like, I'm so authentic with my people. I'm like, it's very hard. You can't be all, as a healer, you're not going to be all love and light and, oh my God. Yeah. That's just not realistic, because we're living on the lowest, first of all, the densest plane. This is a very heavy dimension. So you can't always be a love. You strive to be love and light, but you're going to feel the effects of being human. So you can get negative. Like, I'm a healer. People, sometimes people are like, are you, I'm like, I'm a hot fucking mess, just like everyone else.
Just like everybody else.
What are you talking
about?
Yeah,
you're human. You're human.
Hello. Mm-hmm. And I tell all my people, like, when they're manifesting, I'm like, you know what? Even if you're not sure of it, right? I'm a big believer in writing it down. Yes. I'm a big believer in writing it down, giving it breath and intention. To me, I don't know. I believe words are powerful, but I also believe writing it down is too. So I always tell my people to write it out,
journal
and give it to the universe.
Yes.
Write it and speak it and give it to the universe.
Yeah,
so yes, I
real.
do. I think it absolutely. I guess in positive and negative, it gives it power, right?
Yeah, totally.
Think about how we affect each other when we say stuff. So if someone says something hurtful to me, it's gonna
alter your mood, alter everything. But if you say something positive, it's also going to alter your mood to the positive.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very similar when it comes to the universe. If you speak things out into the universe that are positive, that you truly want and are kind, they will come back to you. I think that energy, that dimension can work for you if you believe it and you mean it. It's got to be genuine,
and it has to come from a source of inside of you that's heartfelt, because that's real.
Listen, men lie, women lie, but up there, they
energy
know.
Don't lie.
Energy don't lie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Energy don't lie.
Energy don't lie.
People lie.
Oh yeah.
But energy don't lie.
That's what it comes down to. So I am one of these people that I am always about when it comes to my prayers and stuff. I ask. I give gratitude, but I ask. And it's not a material ask. It's not it's a tangible ask.
Yeah.
I ask for positivity, for emotional things that will get me in a situation
Right.
that I can obtain the material things that I need, the
Right.
tools that I need. But I ask for situational help because all life is just different situations that arise. That's it.
And that's a beautiful way to pray because you're in the energy of gratitude. That's how I pray. Like I don't, and sometimes it's funny when I go to God, I'm like, I don't even want to ask for, because I pray for everybody. I pray for the earth. I pray for, and I've always been that way. I pray for all the children in the world, all the animals, all the natural disasters that go on, all the other countries. I've always been that way. I pray for, my family, my friends, my animals on earth and in heaven. So I pray for all the heaven beings too. And I sometimes feel bad when I'm like, I kind of want to ask for something for myself, but I don't want to. We're allowed to do that.
I tell you, I
feel
find
bad.
myself
I'm
like that.
I don't want to ask God.
It's
I want
the
to take.
truth.
I don't want to take a prayer away from someone else. But you know what? There's enough prayer and goodness to go around. So I think when you're in the energy of praying for everybody, you can pray for yourself. And like I don't ask for material stuff either. I really. Every day, actually, when I pray, this is what I say to God. Please heal me spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's what I ask for every day. Please heal me spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yes, my thing are my three pillars: mind, body, and soul. So I pray for my mental to work out whatever things I'm going through, whatever projects I'm working on. For my ment to see clearly.
Yes.
Physical, my body. Hopefully everything holds up. I can stay on the course of my health and everything, and then my soul because. That's where my spiritual comes through.
You got it going on.
I'm telling you, my three pillars. My three
proud.
pillars. That I pray for on my three pillars. That's it. And you got to work on that. But that's what it goes. That's what it's about.
But I love that you know that already.
Thank you.
That
I
you
appreciate
know
it.
enough to be like, I need to pray for my.
A lot of life in this first chapter. A lot of life, girlie. Let me tell you, a lot of life.
Me too. I feel like I'm 54. I feel like I'm 7,054.
I feel like I'm like half the time. I'm like I listen to 6-year-olds and I'm like, and you at some. Not everybody's traumas are different. Everyone has different traumas. Like everyone has different things, and nobody is discredited on whatever their hardships are.
Absolutely.
But at some points, you're like, it's not sympathy you need. You need a kick in the ass.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
And that's
but
part of this thing called life.
I love that you already recognize through prayer. Yeah. Like what's important and what kind of to recognize. Like, and I also say every day too, like even if I'm in a shitty mood and I'm praying and I'm like, shit's not happening the way I wanted to, I'm still in gratitude for, I always say to God, every day, I'm so grateful that you allow me to do the work that I do. Because they can take it away from me at any point.
If you are out there listening to this, including everybody in here, we were born blessed. We were born where we are in the situations we are, and there are horrible situations. If you turn on the news recently, there are horrible situations all over the world, and everyone here...
It can put you over the edge.
It can put you over the edge, and it's fucking heart-wrenching shit out there. And the thing is, to have... it's one of those cliche things, when you're a kid and you're not eating your vegetables, your mother goes, "There's starving kids out there." It's one of those cliches.
Exactly.
But in all fairness, when it comes to having this a clear conscience and being dedicated and devoted to bettering yourself and people around you, you gotta have gratitude because you're so blessed. We're all so lucky to be here.
And there's always something to be grateful for.
There's always something to be grateful for. There's always something to ask for, and there's always something to work on.
Exactly.
There's always going to be something.
We're a work in progress every day.
That's all it is.
I'm learning every day because some people are like, even when I read people, like, someone messaged me. I read a new client the other day, and she messaged me, and she's like, "You're amazing. Oh my God." And I literally was like, "I'm not amazing. First of all, I don't know your people from anything. So they're giving me the information. It's not coming from me. I'm not amazing. Thank you, but they're amazing.
You're just channeling it.
Right. I go, I'm just the messenger. Conduit. And I really always remind myself of that to like, don't ever get in your head because like, it ain't about you.
No.
They're allowing you they're giving you the ability through their grace to channel the energy to help people. It's through their grace. So I always remain in that energy. And we're all here to really put grace on each other. Whether we do it or not is, unfortunately there's people that aren't doing it. But we're here to just be each other's. I always felt like Jesus walked the earth for communion. I just felt like he wanted people just to like be, he wanted people just to feel together and like I always
To
tell my
share that
girlfriends, I'm like,
same
he wasn't
energy.
fucking healing the kings and queens.
Yeah.
He was healing the
The
whores,
people.
the liars,
Yep.
the murderers. He wanted to heal the broken people.
Yep.
He wanted that everybody to be in the energy of love and communion. He didn't want anybody to feel like misfitted out. And I happen to love that because I always felt like a misfit.
There's an old saying, love the sinner, hate the sin. You know?
Exactly.
And that's it. Joann, thank you so much. You have been where speaking of your clientele, your flock, how can people find you? How can people come to you? Where do we find you at?
So I have a website, joannfiallo.com.
joannfiallo.com.
Yeah. I'm also on social media. So you can find me on Instagram at Joann Fiallo Psychic Medium.
Okay, perfect.
Also on Facebook, same thing.
Great.
Joann Fiallo Psychic Medium. And and I have some, other great stuff coming out.
How are you doing readings now? You doing it virtually or are
I'm
you
doing some in person
Okay.
with mask requirement.
Gotcha.
A lot of Zoom. Yeah, since the pandemic, I've been doing nothing but Zoom.
It's been crazy.
And old school phone readings because we used to do that back in the day. Sometimes some of my older clients still do the phone. We have to do this again because there's still so much to talk about.
We're out of time. Larry and his beard. He's over there twiddling his beard. He's going, we got to wrap. We're over our time.
All right, perfect.
So,
Thank
Joann,
you for having
we'll
me.
schedule it again. You got to come back. We got to have another one. Halloween.
Gotta do a Halloween-y
one.
one.
Oh my God. It's Spooktober's
and
coming up.
we should dress up too.
Oh my God.
We should totally dress up.
I gotta talk to Larry and also we gotta get a cauldron in here.
Yes.
I gotta do something.
We gotta do some fun shit.
We gotta do some fun shit.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Dom.
Larry, how do we feel about that one, bud?
Oh, loved it.
Great
episode.
Great episode.
Great job interviewing, Jack.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I tell you what.
This time.
Thank you so much. We came a long
Are
way.
we off?
We're almost off. And as always, health, wealth, happiness. Now we're off. Larry.
Thank you so much, guys.
Peace.